Well, you've been watching a meeting of the American cabinet there with Donald Trump warning of the transition cost of his tariff policies. Well, hello and welcome to Trump's Tariffs Explained with me, Ben Brown, here in London.
And me, Sumi Somaskanda, here in Washington. In the next 30 minutes, we're going to be asking and hopefully answering some of the key questions about the Trump tariff roller coaster of the last few days.
Yeah, why, for example, did he impose them with such flourish last week, only to then put them on pause just a few hours after they actually came into effect? Was it a retreat forced on President Trump by the turmoil that we've seen, especially in the crucial bond markets? Or was it his strategy all along, as the White House has been suggesting, successfully driving dozens of countries to the negotiating table?
And there may have been a rollback on American tariffs for the rest of the world, but why has Donald Trump doubled down on China with even steeper tariffs? In fact, the White House confirming today that the tariff rate for China is now 145%, a staggering number.
Well, let's talk to Darshini David then, who is our Deputy Economics Editor with me in the studio. Well, two questions really, I suppose, Darshini. What did force that retreat by Donald Trump? All right, Darshini, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Darshini David there, our Deputy Economics Editor.
All right, we have been watching the dramatic ups and downs of financial markets. So let's take stock of where things stand. Financial markets in Asia and Europe, they have made gains, reflecting relief at Donald Trump's decision to suspend those additional reciprocal tariffs for 90 days.
Well, Darshini David, our Deputy Economics Editor, is still with me. We were hearing Donald Trump talking to his cabinet about there will be a transition cost to all of this, his tariffs policies. There will be transition problems. Well, we've certainly seen some of that. But on the upside, the White House is saying they've got all these countries queuing up. All right, Darshini, once again, thank you very much indeed.
We've been looking at the economics of all of this. Let's take a look at the politics now and what's been happening inside the White House. President Trump's explosive announcement on tariffs last week caused shockwaves around the world, but it also seems to have ignited some tensions among key figures in his administration. We've seen the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, for example, with some dissonance in his messaging compared to what the president has been saying. And Elon Musk, the world's richest man and also a close advisor to Donald Trump, he clashed with another one of Donald Trump's senior advisors, the trade czar Peter Navarro. Take a look. Mr. Musk, who advocates free trade, called Mr. Navarro a moron and, quote, dumber than a sack of bricks, while Mr. Navarro said Elon Musk isn't a car manufacturer, he's just a car assembler who wants to keep importing cheap foreign parts.
Well, let's talk about that with Nick Watt, who's our political editor for BBC Newsnight, and also our world affairs editor, John Simpson's with us. Nick, first of all, tell us more about what Keir Starmer's been saying and these trade talks, because we know that Donald Trump is saying these countries are all queuing up, to get access to him, to come to the White House, to do deals because of his tariff policies.
How to get out of this.
It's all mind games. Thank you very much, Nick Watt and John Simpson. Pleasure to talk to both of you. Nick, by the way, will be back here on BBC News in a few hours' time on the BBC Newsnight programme. Could much more have changed by then? You never know.
That's right, Ben. And just before we go, let's go back to Wall Street outside the New York Stock Exchange. Our New York business correspondent, Aaron Delmore, is still standing by for us there. Aaron, we keep hearing that markets and businesses don't like uncertainty. What are traders there telling you about how they are managing expectations for the days and weeks to come? Aaron, really interesting. Great to talk to you as always. Thank you, Aaron. And thank you so much for joining us for Trump's Tariffs Explained with me, Sumi Somaskanda in Washington.
And me, Ben Brown, in London. Well, we have been following that US cabinet meeting with Donald Trump. Let's just have a listen in because it's still going on.
I feel better about that, I guess. But
well, there we are. That's the end of that session of the cabinet in Washington. Donald Trump there talking about his tariffs policy, once again saying they're making the United States $2 billion a day. But he did also say there are transition costs and transition problems from his tariffs policies. But he said in the end it is a beautiful thing. He said the European Union, which has paused its threat to retaliate against American tariffs, he said the EU had been very smart to avoid tariff retaliation. He also said, Donald Trump, that he would love to get a deal with China to end what is an escalating trade war with China. And he said all that during that meeting of the cabinet. So some interesting comments from the president on his very controversial tariffs policies. And being on BBC News around the world and across the UK, this is The World Today on BBC News. Do stay tuned. The controversial influencer Andrew Tate has been accused of putting a gun in a woman's face in court documents that have been seen by BBC News. 4 women are suing the self-proclaimed misogynist in the High Court, accusing him of rape or assault, while Mr Tate denies all the women's claims, saying they are untrue and a pack of lies. Here's Lucy Manning. King Charles and Queen Camilla have wrapped up their visit to Italy. A little earlier on, they visited a market in Ravenna, trying local produce and turning their hand to some pasta making with the crowds. The royal couple also went to the tomb of Dante. King Charles made a reference to the poet during his speech to Parliament on Wednesday, part of which he delivered in flawless Italian. Before heading to Ravenna, the monarch planted a tree in the gardens of Villa Volkonski, the US ambassador's residence in Rome, where he and Queen Camilla had been staying. There we are, the end of that royal visit to Italy. Do stay with us on BBC News. There's plenty more to come. Hello again, this is BBC News with me, Ben Brown. A look at our latest news headlines. Wall Street is down a day after President Donald Trump put higher tariffs on most countries on hold. Earlier there were gains in European and Asian markets. The number of people killed in a Dominican Republic nightclub tragedy has risen to at least 218. Scientists in the United Kingdom say a saliva test could help identify which men are born with the greatest risk of prostate cancer. Well, more on one of those stories now. Rescue workers in the Dominican Republic have ended their search for survivors of that nightclub roof collapse. Officials have announced the death toll has now risen to 218, the roof of the Jet Set Club in Santo Domingo. Around the world and across the UK, you're watching The World Today here on BBC News. One of the most successful new plays on Broadway is Good Night and Good Luck, starring George Clooney, which broke box office records for a new play in its first week of business. Well, the production is an adaptation of a 2005 film of the same name, which Clooney directed and starred in. The star is a staunch Democrat, and the play is seen as something of a cautionary tale about what could happen in Trump's America if press freedoms are curbed. From New York, Tom Brooks reports. Akshay Widhani, really good to talk to you. Many congratulations on a wonderful film and its continued success. CEO of Yash Raj Films, Akshay Widhani. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Well, you're watching BBC News. Now, let me tell you that Alan Shearer and Micah Richards, beware. It appears the Prince of Wales is something of a football pundit. Prince William's pre-match analysis of his beloved Aston Villa's chances against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League last night has impressed the experts, as Hugh Ferris now explains.
That's good, isn't it? James Ingham, BBC News, Newbury.
Hello there. Both Scotland and Northern Ireland had